Okay. So, today should not be any different than what you've done before. So, except we're working with word problems now. So, just like when we did the Romeo and Juliet, where you had to draw the picture to match the scenario and then solve it, that's what we're doing here. Match the diagrams below to the correct word problem. Label what the question is asking you for with a variable. So, we are trying to find in number 1, how high above the ground is the kite? What picture shows me how high above the ground is the kite? F. So, we're going to jump clear down to F. What side am I looking for if I'm trying to find how high above the ground is the kite? The opposite side. Good. I'm trying to find this side here. How high above the ground is the kite? Okay, so this is number 1, and we're trying to find X. Okay, number 2 says, how far from the building is the car?
D.
That one is going to be D. Okay, they want to know how far from the building is the car. So what am I trying to find? I've got my hypotenuse or here along the ground. Which one am I looking for? Am I looking for this diagonal piece or the one that runs along the ground if I want to know how far from the building? The one on the ground. Okay, it's very important that you label your stuff correctly and know what you're looking for. Number 3, how wide is the river? B. Okay, that takes me to B. Which side am I looking for B? Am I looking for that diagonal or the straight side?
Straight side.
The straight side. How wide is the river? That goes from bank to bank. Straight across. Number 4, how far up will the ladder reach? That is E. How high up will the ladder reach? What am I looking for there? The one along the ground or the one going up to the house? The one up along the house is what I'm looking for. Good. Number 5, I'm looking at a 90-foot escalator, rises 28 feet vertically. What is the angle the escalator makes with the floor? Good. That one is C. Okay, that's your escalator. This time I'm looking for an angle. Well, we know that this is my right angle, so that can't be the angle I'm looking for. So am I looking for the one down here on the left or up top on the right? Read the question again. What is the angle the escalator makes with the floor? The one on the left, down at the bottom with the floor. You're going to learn today that that's actually called your angle of elevation. It goes from the floor up. So that means number 6 goes here with A. A mine shaft is 30 meters deep and makes an angle of 65 with the ground. How long is the mine shaft? What am I looking for? This line at the top or the diagonal? The diagonal. Fantastic. So all I wanted you to do with that is figure out which picture goes with the scenario and figure out what you're actually solving for. Okay? Questions? 133, ladies and gents. And we're going to jump to the other side of that page.
Oh my God.
Okay. We're jumping to this one next. What in the world do I do with a problem that doesn't have a picture already?
Draw.
We need to draw it. So, step one is to draw a diagram for each problem. Label what the question's asking you for with a variable. So when you draw your picture, you're going to label all your sides with what you know, and you're also going to put your X or whatever variable you would like on what you're solving for. So, it says a guy wire is attached to a 100-foot tower that is perpendicular to the ground. The wire makes an angle of 55 degrees with the ground. What is the length of the wire? So, what do you think we should draw first?
Tower.
The tower. We need a tower. I'm afraid to even draw this. Let's see. I need a tower. You're going to get a cylinder out of me, and you're going to like it.
Oh, look, it's terrible.
Here's my tower. There's my tower.
There's a Pringles can.
Let my Pringles can alone. Once you pop, you just can't stop.
I don't like
Boy, that's how it be though.
You cannot, name me one person that can literally open a bag of chips and eat just a handful and walk
If it's
away.
nasty.
If it's
Really?
I cannot do
If
that.
it's sour
If I
cream,
open a bag of chips, I'm sorry, I'm sitting there
No
until
matter
my
how-
husband steals them from me and it's like, no more
Even
chips
if
for
it's a
you.
problem,
Oh, it's already
size,
Right.
I cannot stop.
Okay, so now that we have my tower, what do we need? What else do we need?
guy wire.
We need the wire that goes from the tower to the ground. So here's my wire. Okay, and of course, this is a right triangle, so let's draw my right triangle here. Okay, let's connect it. All right, now we need to label what we know. What do we know? Okay, the wire makes an angle of 55 degrees with the ground. So 55 should go down here. The angle between the wire and the ground. What else do we know? We know that the tower is 100 feet tall. So this is 100 feet. Okay, that's the two pieces of information we know. What do we need to find? The what?
Button.
The hypotenuse. That's the length of my wire. My wire's here, so this is what I'm solving for. Okay, so there's step one. Draw a diagram, label what question is asking you with a variable. Step two says write the trig equation. Well, in order for me to do that, I need to label my sides first. So here is my reference angle, 55. You already told me that x is my hypotenuse. What is 100? That is my opposite side. So, sine, I've got opposite and hypotenuse. So we're using sine. It's sine. It's actually S-I-N-E. They shorten it to sin. I don't know why they just didn't throw the extra letter in there. It's S-I-N-E.
It's the
Man,
Illuminati.
they really shortened that.
Confirmed.
So, it's always the sign of your angle. Well, we know your angle this time, so that's 55. Equals. What goes on top?
It's, I'm at 100.
100 over x. Okay? That was some of your biggest problems on your quiz. You did not pay attention to what went on top and what went on the bottom. Okay? So now, Joseph said I've got to put this over 1 because now I need to cross multiply. Well, when I do that, I get x times the sine of 55 equals 100. And now we have to divide because x is stuck with the sign. So we're going to divide to get our answer. Please, before you plug this in, make sure that your calculator is in degree mode. Because some of you didn't do that either, and you had all the right answers, but in radian, and I marked them all wrong.
Yes.
We've talked about this a million times over. You need to go to mode. You need to switch your calculator to degree. It will be in radian when you get it for your test. If you don't switch it, your answers will be wrong.
Oh, yeah, I failed. Dang, you wasn't even in.
Okay,
Dang.
you got what? 122?
How do you?
122 feet.
Yeah.
Guys, please understand too, your state test, the state already curves it. I can't do anything to it. If you fail the test and that puts you in a failing grade for the course, I have to fail you.
No.
I do not adjust grades.
Wait, hold on. So if you got an A and you failed, so
It will average out that you'll still pass.
you gonna have to pay.
No.
Oh,
But like if you're already low enough and you fail the test and it doesn't average out to be a passing grade, I don't go back and change grades. I'm not that teacher. You get what you earn, and that's what it is. All right. Example number 2. We've got a jet plane that begins a steady climb at 15 degrees and flies for 2 miles. What is the change in altitude in feet? So, what does this picture look like? We've got an airplane up in the air. Okay, we've got this plane. Southwest, I don't know. I'm really bad at drawing planes too, let it go.
Oh,
That is my plane.
that is a raisin.
That's a raisin?
That is that.
That looks like a what, Mr. Watkins? A bug.
That's your hard.
Wait, so
That's a termite, okay?
That's your hard. It's hard. That's the plane I rolled on. That's the plane I rolled on.
It was like that.
Or it was just like.
I know you're going off of what you
The yacht.
And it was fast.
Oh, y'all know.
But you
Okay,
did.
bro. I know. But like for the other courses, like I'm talking about the whole
You
year.
getting the ball most of the place.
We don't do all your classes, so I can't take those grades.
Oh, you guys don't? This isn't in all your class?
No, this is a semester class,
Oh.
which is why the classes are an hour and a half and not the 45 minutes that you're used to.
I was like, what?
Okay, so this plane started somewhere on the ground and is now here. Okay, again, we need to draw our right triangle. Remember, this is always right triangles. So my plane is now up in the air. It says it has a steady climb of 15 degrees. So where does 15 go?
Above the thing. Beside the plane.
The diagonal line.
Opposite.
It goes down in that bottom left corner. It's climbing at 15 degrees. So that means it's going from the ground up if it's climbing. So 15 goes here. Okay. So that's going to be your biggest problem, is interpreting what it's saying and putting your numbers where it actually goes. Okay. It also says that it flies for 2 miles. Where does 2 miles go?
No, on the
On the diagonal.
Yeah.
It's the path of the plane. The plane takes off from here and goes to here. This is 2 miles. It doesn't say your plane is 2 miles out. It says it flies for 2 miles. So that's the path of your plane. The last one, the question says though, what is the change in altitude? What does the word altitude mean?
height.
Height. Good. So we're looking for this. So again, we need to figure out what trig ratio I'm using. We're using sine again. X is your opposite side, 2 miles is your hypotenuse. So the sine of my angle
The same.
What goes on top this time?
A.
X
Oh, yeah.
over 2. SOH. SOHCAHTOA. I cannot emphasize enough that you need to memorize how that is spelled. Okay, that tells you what happens here. Okay, so now we put this over 1. When I cross multiply, I get 2 times the sign of 15 equals X.
1.3.
Okay. They got 0.51.
I got 0.51.
Let me see what Trevor's doing back here.
Huh?
Round it up.
I got
Oh,
4.1.
5.1. Or 5. Yeah.
Then it's not
What?
an idiot.
It's not degrees.
Nope.
That's why you're going wrong.
No, I got.
Okay. Do you get 0.52?
What about?
I didn't even know you.
Okay, so we got 0.52.
Yeah.
Okay. What if I tell you this is not the answer?
You lying.
Okay, hold on.
They was at
What is this in?
a decimal.
0.52 what?
Zeros. No, I'm just kidding.
What did I start in? Miles. This is in miles. What does my answer need to be in? Feet.
So we.
So, how many feet are in a mile? Look it up.
Okay.
What?
Oh, come on, because you don't have a cell phone in your pocket.
It's off? So I was turned off for this.
Or Sienna's just going to pull out her notebook that has it all.
3 point. Oh, gosh. If you multiply.
37.
That's meters.
That's the answer.
Oh wait, what did you say? How many feet?
How many feet are in a mile? Somebody find it for me. How many feet are in a mile?
13 minus 50 equals 47.
Five 5,280 feet are in a mile. So, how do I find how many feet 0.52 miles is?
Right. Oh.
Multiply. Well, I got that right. I'm gonna go.
All right, let me help you out here with some conversion for those of you that may get stuck in chemistry. So, you do what we call a conversion chart. So, we need to change miles to feet. So, we know 1 mile, which will cancel out my miles, is equal to 5,280 feet. So, because both of my numbers are in the top when I convert, that means we multiply. So what's 0.52 times 5,280?
Equals 2,745.
You said 2,000?
0.6, yeah.
2,745.6 feet. Okay. So, not only do you have to do this, sometimes you're going to have to convert at the end. Okay. Please go ahead and glue this in on 134.
134, yeah.
Come on, Simone.
I'm about to.
I'm gonna pull the tag.
No, he said.
Oh, I like glue.
Right.
This is higher than on
You said 133.
134 for this one. 133 was the last one we just did.
Yo.
What's the next one?
Word.
Block. Wow.
Word.
Shut up, French fry.
Be nice, Stefan.
Ow, stop.
Can we turn this light on? Because it gets cold in the dark.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. On page 135, you're going to glue in your angle of elevation problem. Okay, so you're going to glue in your pieces like this on page 135. You should have your tree, the problem that's talking about Jason, and little Jason. He kind of reminds me of Diego from Dora.
Go Diego.
Disappointment?
Go Diego. Go. Escate, amigos, to rescue.
Why do you know this song?
Because I used to watch you.
I wasn't in
I used to watch the backyard again. I don't know that song.
backyard.
Again.
But then we on Facebook.
Right, that one was way wrong.
I can't even say that because I know the song. I know the lyrics to Wonder Pet.
Let me hear it.
Wonder Fest.
We're on our way.
Save the day.
We're not too big
and we're not too
If we work together, we
got the right stuff. Go Wonder Fest. Yeah.
Now we're about to get copyrighted.
Right. You're about to get copyrighted on YouTube now.
Oops.
Yo, I don't know about these teachers.
Sorry, not sorry.
About us being immature.
So,
Really,
Alright, bro. I understand this one information. It was Trevor Falls. You can copyright.
Listen, I'm sure I'll know all those songs sooner or later.
no, we can sing at least 30 seconds of the song.
I mean, that's how long the theme
I mean,
Share.
I can do Mickey Mouse Clubhouse.
M-I-C-K-E-Y-M-I-U-S-E. It don't wig, bro. I don't even know what that says.
No, look.
That's
I thought it was yeah.
I'm only reminding you.
That's how you laugh, bro.
All right, you actually do a really good Goofy. Maybe when you go to college, you should try to do like the Disney college program, and you actually get to go to Disney and you play a character or work at Disney while you take college classes.
Are you serious?
Yeah. My cousin Olivia has done it for 2 years now.
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm doing.
So she technically goes to Seton Hill in Greensburg, and she goes down to Disney and she works at the merchandising stuff and sells stuff and takes her classes down in Disney.
I want to be an actor, bro. I swear. I want to be
You have to apply for
comedy
it.
movie, though.
But yeah, it's called the Disney College Program.
You have to, like, if you want to do theater, it really don't matter.
You know that, bro.
As long as you're in a lot of plays.
I say, yeah. I want to be like a funny actor.
What?
Funny actor.
He's saying that good.
All right, are we all put in?
Yeah.
Come on.
I've been smoking for 35 years.
Okay. Guys, you do not have to be writing while I'm talking about this. Please continue gluing if you're gluing. Okay, so when we do word problems. Stop.
Yeah, go ahead and cast.
Okay, when we do word problems, you're going to see two types. One is called the angle of elevation. Okay, think about it. If I'm elevating, what am I doing? I'm going up. I'm rising. So your angle of elevation is the angle that goes from the ground up to the sky. So it'll be one of the ones along the ground. So it can either go from the ground up in this direction, or it can go from the ground up in this direction. It does not matter. It's one of the ones that are along the ground that rises into the air. Okay? So that's what this one is. Angle of elevation is the angle between the horizontal line, so the line of the ground, and the line of sight up to the beehive. Okay? Jason is 4 feet away from the base of a tree, hosting a beehive. If the angle of elevation between Jason and the hive is 76 degrees, how high up in the tree is the hive? Okay, so we've got to draw a right triangle between Jason and the tree. Okay, so my tree is obviously going to be my height. So this is the height. There is also a distance between Jason and the tree. And there's a diagonal between the beehive and Jason. So here's your right triangle. We now need to take the information that we know, plug it in, as well as put our variable on, just like we did on the last page. So it says Jason is 4 feet away from the base of the tree. Where does that go? On the ground. That's my ground. He's 4 feet away. So this is 4 feet. It then says the angle of elevation. That tells you where it goes. Okay, it's the angle from the ground up is 76 degrees. So that is this one. They want to know how high up is the hive in the tree. So what am I looking for?
Or the adjacent one. No, the high.
I'm looking for this side.
Yeah, that's what I call it, Jason.
That's actually your opposite according to your reference angle.
Oh, my fault.
Okay, so if this is my reference angle down here, X is my opposite, and 4 is my adjacent.
It's a TOA.
That's my TOA.
Tangent.
That's my TOA. So the tangent of my angle. The tangent of my angle. So the tangent of 76
Sixers.
is what over what? X over 4.
I know.
Can I see your blue? Joseph.
Okay, can you worry about this later, Stefan, while I'm in the middle of teaching? I need you to not be gluing stuff in right now. I need you to be paying attention.
16.
Okay, when I cross multiply, will I need to divide this time?
No.
No. Okay, so X will be secluded all by itself. This is 4 times the tangent of 76 equals X. So what is my value of X? 16.04. What's this in? Feet. It doesn't say we need to change anything, so we leave it in feet. 16.04 feet. Okay. If you flip the page to 136, we're going to glue in your angle of depression.
How much you going down?
It's going down.
I'm yelling Tim.
I just made a No, Marquise, you need it.
Okay, so your angle of depression. Let's do it.
Yeah, but it's an old.
Okay, please glue in your pieces to look like this on page 136.
That boy Trevor here, he doing weird stuff. That man just dropped it like it was hot.
Bye.
You never see me there.
Huh?
That was buddy.
He dropped so hard.
It wasn't a jump,
That boy said,
started drinking a drink.
Mama told me.
Okay. So we said the angle of elevation. Elevation means we rise up. Angle of depression. When you think about depression, you're what?
Sadness.
Sadness. Which means you're down. Okay? You're down on yourself, you're down on your luck. So think about that. Angle of depression is from the ceiling down. Okay? It's from the ceiling down. So it's the angle made from the line from the boat to the lighthouse and a horizontal line. So again, we're dealing with right triangles, so we need to draw ourselves a right triangle. We've got the height of the tower. We've got the distance from the boat to the tower. And we've got the diagonal line here.
Yeah, my boat was hurt.
Okay, this is the hardest one to do.
Why?
Because of where the angle is placed. So we're going to talk about it. Okay, there's two different ways you can solve this problem. Okay, I'm going to give you both ways, whichever way you think is easier, by all means. And I know which way most of you are going to go,
Calculator.
but we're going to talk about it. It's either way is the calculator. You can't, listen, I can give you all of the numbers for sine, cosine, and tangent. You can do it by hand. But let me tell you, you have to actually like look up on the paper what's the sine of 31, get that number, and then multiply it against the number you have. It's a pain in the butt.
Yeah,
But guess what? Before calculators, that's what they did. Woo! Okay.
And Jesus said, let there be light.
So it says the light in a lighthouse is 150 feet taller than a boat. Where does 150 feet go then? The right side. It's talking about the height of your lighthouse. Okay, this is 150 feet. Okay, now watch what I do. If the angle of depression between the light and the boat. So we said the angle of depression is from the ceiling down. So what I need to do is draw myself a temporary ceiling. Okay? Most people think because it's the angle of depression that it's automatically this angle right here. It's not. That's not from the ceiling down. That's from the side over. Okay? So it is not that. 63 degrees actually goes here. It's not in your triangle. Okay? So this is where everybody gets confused.
Yep, confused.
So you have two options. You have two options. I have parallel lines, the ceiling and the ground. Okay? These are parallel lines here. Your ceiling and your ground. So if this is 63 degrees,
That would be 60.
this is also 63 degrees. Why? What are these types of angles? They're interior. They're what kind of interior?
Alternate.
They're alternate interior. So these are your parallel lines. This is your transversal. I have one on the left of it, one on the right of it. So these are actually alternate interior angles. So if my angle of depression is 63 degrees, that also means my angle of elevation is 63 degrees. Always. Okay? So that's something to keep in mind. If you don't like to work with angles of depression, you can also change it and make it your angle of elevation. It's the same thing. And we're just going to stick with that way then. Let's not confuse you. Let's not confuse you. Okay. How far away is the boat from the lighthouse? What am I finding? My hypotenuse or my other leg? Okay, stop. I need you to think before you just decide to throw out answers. Because some of you are just screaming out whatever you feel like instead of thinking and actually looking at the picture. Right. It's not funny. It's not entertaining to sit there and try to act like you don't care. How far away is the boat from the lighthouse? Am I looking for the hypotenuse, my diagonal side, or my leg at the bottom? I'm looking at the leg at the bottom. That is your distance between the boat and the lighthouse. So I'm looking for this side. Okay, so I've moved my angle down here. What does that make 150 then? Opposite. And what does that make X? Adjacent. So I've got opposite and adjacent again. What am I dealing with?
Tangent.
Tangent. So tangent of my angle equals, it's TOA, T-O-A. So what goes on top? 150 and over X. When I cross multiply, do I need to divide this time? Yes, because when I cross multiply, I get X times the tangent of 63 equals 150. We then divide by the tangent of 63. You said what?
76.4.
76.4, and this is in feet. Fantastic.
Break. Yeah, 5-minute break.
We have one last page, and we can glue this in after we're done because it's one whole piece and then the little title. So just hold off and we'll glue this in after we're finished filling it out.
That's not bad. After we're done with our 5-minute break.
He overate on some cheese. I don't know what
He got no legs and
he
arms.
just said. He goes, "That's a fat mouse."
He ain't got no legs and arms. Is he that fat?
Right? They're like,
Oh yeah.
he got little arms
Jerry,
to go along with the little boat.
Little
Look at these.
He's got little arms to go along with that little boat.
He probably ate it off the boat. She's off
Had
That's
mouse
what
traps all
Look
over
what they
the
did
little
to
boat,
Jerry.
but they didn't get the
That
little
was like
mouse.
omelet. Just went on.
Got the cheese though.
Okay.
Always a mouse.
So I want you to write up in this top middle space what we just came up with. The angle of elevation equals your angle of depression. Because they are alternate interior angles. Okay. So that's the biggest thing that I want you to remember. So if they give you the angle of depression, you could always make it your angle of elevation. Okay, if you prefer to use it that way. And honestly, some of you are probably better off doing that. Because you're going to forget about the fact that it's from the ceiling down, and you're going to put it inside of the triangle at the top where it does not belong.
And then get it all wrong.
Okay.
Are you okay, son?
So we've got a beautiful picture right here, so I'm not going to draw you one. I'm just going to draw you a right triangle that matches my picture. So my owl's up in the tree up here. This is where my owl is, and my mouse is down here on the ground. That fat mouse that Dewan says we have.
And we will name him Georgie.
We will name him Georgie.
Yes.
Georgie the mouse.
No, it's Stewart.
No, it's Jerry.
Damn, Jerry.
Stewart.
Jerry.
Jerry.
Stewart Little.
Oh yeah, Stewart.
I
I forgot all about
Stuart Little's not fat.
It don't matter. He's a mouse.
That's the piece that
Cute.
run on that motorcycle.
What fat mouse do you know what the name's Georgie?
I was a mouse, but that was a rat in my eyes.
Who?
He was ugly.
Who?
Stupid.
What if I had a fat mouse and his name was Georgie?
Dead mouse.
Nah, I ain't talking about him. I'm talking about another fat tattoo. That's what I'm thinking about. I'm talking about that. I said that was a rat.
You said what?
I said something about
I
ratatouille.
slapped the dog.
The rat
No,
that
it actually
cooked.
wasn't a mouse. It was
I was thinking about that.
and
What you say?
He wasn't
He wasn't right.
Maybe
He wasn't. He had a dirty rat in his head.
they popping.
All right, so this says if the owl is 14 feet, shh. If the owl is 14 feet up in the tree, where does 14 go?
Up here.
Okay, up here, it's the height of the tree, 14 feet.
What's his name?
The angle of elevation between the mouse and the owl is 65 degrees. Where does that go? The angle of elevation from the ground up. Good, it's this bottom corner. How far away is the mouse from the base of the tree? What am I finding?
Adjacent.
The adjacent side. Okay. It says from the base of the tree. So you would go to the base of your tree and go to the mouse. So it's going to be this bottom side down here. Okay. Be careful of the wording. So 65 is my reference angle, which Sienna already told us that X is my A, which means 14 is my opposite. So I'm dealing with what again? Tangent. Tangent of 65 equals
We should do an it problem.
14 over X. And we are going to divide this time because when I cross multiply, I get X times the tangent of 65 equals 14. We have to divide then by the tangent of 65. Okay, so we're going to have to divide by the tangent of 65, which gives us what? 6.53.
I'm just trying to make my mom proud.
My nephew was in that music video.
All right, I'm going to draw another right triangle on the other side. Again, that represents my picture. And we'll have to label sides according to what they tell us. So here's my owl up in the tree again and my mouse on the ground. Georgie Porgy, pumpkin pie. Kiss a girl, made him cry.
Bars.
So he.
Kiss the girl, made them cry.
So he a fruit man.
He'd be like,
Okay, if the diagonal distance between the owl and the mouse is 13 feet, where does that go? Hypotenuse. It goes on your diagonal.
I don't want to say that time because I ain't trying to mess up the crowd.
The angle of depression between the mouse and the owl is 82 degrees. Where else can I put that? It says the angle of depression, so technically that goes here. It doesn't go inside the triangle, it goes there. So it can also go in the bottom right. Remember, we just talked about the angle of elevation and the angle of depression are the same. So it can also go down here. They're alternate interior. One's on the right-hand side of the transversal, one's on the left. Okay? It says, how high up is the owl? What am I looking for? The height, the opposite side here. I'm looking for this. So, here's my reference angle. You already said this is the opposite side. What's 13? Hypotenuse. Opposite hypotenuse. Sine. So sine of 82 equals X over 13. Will I need to divide this time? No. 13 times the sine of 82 equals X.
let somebody else do it.
Be quick.
It's 12.
It's 12.9.
Gosh, Greg. Still the line.
Still the light.
I'm like, bro, don't nobody say the answer. She over here.
It's 12.9.
That wasn't even me, that was her.
Nah.
It'd be the both of y'all.
That'd be both of y'all.
How about that?
Smooth and 10. We're doing this
Okay.
sideways.
This will glue in sideways. Okay. On 137. You wish it was Friday.
That annoying girl, man. It's all Friday.